My name is Mary. I'm standing in the middle of a ballroom filled with 60 guests, all eyes on me. The room is deathly silent, and the only sound is the crackling of the 65 candles on the cake. My adoptive father, Mr. Thompson, stands before me, his face ashen, his hands trembling as he tries to piece together the torn deed I've just ripped in front of everyone. It all started 6 weeks ago when I received an invitation to Mr. Thompson's 65th birthday party. I was 32, the founder of a successful modular home building company called Green Haven Homes. We specialized in energy-efficient houses that could save homeowners a fortune on heating bills in the cold winters of Minnesota. I remembered that Tuesday morning well. I was in my office by 7 a.m., signing a contract for a 35-unit housing project. The pen in my hand, the quiet of the office, and the satisfaction of a job well done filled me with a sense of pride. Then, my assistant placed a thick envelope on my desk. It was from Mrs. Thompson, and it had my old name, Mary Thompson, written in her elegant handwriting. Inside was an invitation to Mr. Thompson's birthday party at the Lakeside Country Club. I read it twice and then set it face down on the desk, like setting down something hot. The contract made sense, with numbers and clear goals, but the invitation felt like a draft from a door I thought was shut. I was 5 when the Thompsons took me in. They were a well-to-do couple in the town of Riverdale. Mr. Thompson was a high-powered stockbroker, always busy with work, and Mrs. Thompson was a socialite who loved to show off at parties. At first, it was good. Mrs. Thompson bought me a beautiful pink dress and showed me off at the country club. People would say how kind and generous she was to adopt a child. I was like a trophy, a proof of her goodness. But when I was 8, everything changed. Mrs. Thompson gave birth to a son, Lucas. He was the apple of their eye. The family photos started to change. It was always the 3 of them, and I was the one taking the pictures. At family dinners, there were 5 nice chairs at the table, and a folding chair in the corner became my permanent seat. No one ever said anything, but I knew what it meant. Mr. Thompson was a distant figure in my life. He was always at work or playing golf. His idea of fatherhood was writing checks and expecting thanks. With Lucas, it was different. Lucas got all the attention, the love, and the support. I was just an afterthought. One night when I was 10, I came downstairs for a glass of water. I heard Mr. Thompson and his brother talking in the study. His brother asked about my college plans, and Mr. Thompson laughed carelessly. "She's Mrs. Thompson's project, not mine," he said. That sentence hit me like a punch in the gut. I stood there in the dark hallway for a long time, not crying, just understanding. At 18, when Lucas was 10 and getting private tutors and trips abroad, I got a graduation card with $50 in it and a note from Mrs. Thompson saying I was so independent. It was a dismissal. I packed my bags and left Riverdale. I got a job in a construction crew. I was the only woman there for 2 years. I learned to swing a hammer all day and study blueprints all night at the community college. I discovered that I loved building things that would last. There was a mansion on the lake called Silver Lake Manor that Mr. Thompson had always talked about. He would say, "When my ship comes in, we'll have that place." It was a symbol of his unfulfilled dreams. I used to think that if I worked hard enough, I could earn my place in the family by getting him that mansion. Green Haven Homes started in a small rented garage. My first partner left after a year, but I kept going. By the time I was 32, I employed 100 people, and the company was worth more than I could say out loud. Despite my success, I still sent the Thompsons gifts every year. A Christmas hamper, a new set of golf clubs for Mr. Thompson. I thought if I gave enough, they would finally accept me. 2 days after receiving the invitation, I got a call from Aunt Lily, Mr. Thompson's younger sister. She was the only one in the family who treated me like a real person. "They really want you to come, Mary," she said. "Mr. Thompson is turning 65. Maybe things will be different." I started thinking about what I could bring. I wanted to give him something that would make him see me as his daughter. Then an idea struck me. Silver Lake Manor was for sale. The The old owner had passed away, and his children didn't want the property. I could buy it for Mr.
Thompson.
It was a $3,500,000 purchase, but I could afford it. I bought it through a foundation I'd set up a couple of years ago, the New Beginnings Foundation, which was meant to help foster kids find stable housing. As the signing of the deed got closer, a small voice in my head started to question my decision. I held the draft deed in my hands one Sunday night. I read Mr. and Mrs. Thompson's names on it and expected to feel a sense of warmth, but all I felt was the cold metal of the folding chair against my knees. I met Aunt Lily at a diner. I told her about the gift, but not the price. She asked me what I was hoping for when I gave it to Mr. Thompson. I blurted out the truth. I'm hoping he'll finally say I'm his. She shook her head slowly. He won't marry. He is who he is. A house won't change him. A week before the party, Mrs. Thompson invited me to the house to go over the party arrangements. When I arrived, there were 5 nice chairs at the table, and the folding chair was already set up in the corner. Lucas, all grown up and full of himself, pulled out the folding chair for me with a smirk. "Your throne, Mary," he said. That night, I drove home feeling uneasy. The next morning, Aunt Lily called me, her voice angry and careful at the same time. "They added you to the family group chat by mistake," she said. "I'm sending you a screenshot. You deserve to know what you're walking into." The screenshot showed messages from Lucas, Mrs. Thompson, and Mr. Thompson. Lucas had written, "Is the charity case actually coming? LOL." Mrs. Thompson replied, "Be nice. She's good for the photos." Lucas then asked, "She's not in the will, right?" And Mr. Thompson said, "Don't worry, I'll make it official Saturday. Everyone knows where things stand." I was furious, but also strangely calm. I realized that for 20 years, I had been trying to win an argument with people who would never see me as their daughter. I called my lawyer and told him to change the grantee on the deed. I transferred Silver Lake Manor to the New Beginnings Foundation, permanently and irrevocably. On the day of the party, I drove to the Lakeside Country Club with a folded deed in my purse. The ballroom was filled with Mr. Thompson's old colleagues, country club friends, and neighbors. There was a banner that said 65 and still shining, an ice sculpture melting in the warm room, and a huge cake with 65 candles. Mrs. Thompson found me as soon as I walked in. She was all smiles, using me as a prop to show off her generosity. Then she led me to the head table. There were 5 chairs with silk bows, and at the corner, the folding chair with a place card that said Mary. I spent the next hour being a guest at a party designed to humiliate me. Lucas made snide remarks and people made small, hurtful comments. But I stayed calm, knowing what was about to happen. Mr. Thompson took the microphone and started a speech. He thanked everyone for coming, made some jokes, and then it was time to mention me. But before he could say his planned line, a developer named Mr. Harris, who I'd worked with on a project, stood up and said, "Wait, Mary of Green Haven Homes. You built the Pinewood development and the county's green housing project. You run one of the fastest growing home building companies in the state." The room was shocked. Mr. Thompson tried to recover and said, "Mary's done well, but let's be honest, she didn't come for much. We took her in years ago, and we did right by her." Then he delivered the line he'd been saving, "But I'll tell you all a funny thing. We were redoing the will, and I realized she's not really mine. I just forgot to cross her out." The room erupted in laughter, but I stood still. I set my champagne glass down and picked up the folding chair. I carried it to the wall and leaned it against it, like putting away a thing I'd never need again. I walked up to the head table, reached into my purse, and took out the folded deed. I unfolded it and placed it on the table in front of Mr. Thompson. "Happy birthday, Mr.
Thompson."
3 weeks ago, I bought Silver Lake Manor. I was going to give it to you, put your name on it, but I didn't come for a name. I came to give one away." I picked up the deed and tore it in half. The sound echoed in the silent room. I tore it into smaller pieces and let them fall on the table. The original deed was signed this morning and recorded with the county. Silver Lake Manor now belongs to the New Beginnings Foundation for kids who age out of foster care with nothing, just like I did. Mr. Thompson stared at the torn pieces in disbelief. He reached out to pick them up, trying to put the deed back together. His face turned white as he read the words New Beginnings Foundation on the reassembled pieces. Mrs. Thompson started to cry, trying to get sympathy from the guests. Lucas was angry, shouting that I couldn't just give away a $3,500,000 house. I looked at them all and felt a strange sense of relief, like setting down a heavy weight. I picked up my purse, buttoned my jacket, and said quietly to Mr. Thompson, I spent my whole life trying to get you to claim me. But tonight, you told me who I am to you. I'm going to believe you. Then I walked out of the ballroom, past the 60 guests who parted to let me through. Aunt Lily was waiting for me at the door. She put her hand on my arm and said, You did the right thing, Mary. The fallout was quiet. The deed couldn't be reversed. The local paper ran a story about the donation of Silver Lake Manor to help foster kids, without mentioning the Thompsons. At the country club, Mr. Thompson's standing declined. Mrs. Thompson stopped hosting parties, and Lucas moved to California. I went back to building houses. The next spring, Silver Lake Manor was renovated and opened its doors as a home for foster kids. I was there on the first night when a young girl named Emily, who just aged out of foster care, was hesitant to take the best seat at the long dining table I'd built. I pulled out the chair and said, This one's yours. She looked at me in disbelief, then sat down and smiled. I've learned that sometimes you have to stop trying to earn a place at a table that's never going to welcome you. And when you start building your own table, you'll find there's always room for those who truly matter.